Because people get something that is so special and so unique, and we take it for granted because we're in it. I do it, and it's all, we're always trying to work on getting better and better and better. But what people get that is so rare, my point of it is, this next place that we're going to is without apology. It is like there's two kinds of businesses. When you incorporate and have a business, you can either be a not-for-profit or a for-profit business. So a not-for-profit is like a church and an organization that raises funds for causes, and they don't pay taxes on any of the excess money to run it. A for-profit corporation doesn't mean they make a profit. It just means if there's any left over after you pay everybody and pay the lights and pay the bills and pay the landlord and pay for those guys to fix the plumbing and pay the taxes and all the other freaking expenses to pay the air conditioning and pay the freon that's leaking out of the air conditioning at the village and then replace the new one that they say we need, and then on and on and on. And then the assessment for the parking lot, and then it's endless. And then the price increases from all the products that we just got. If there's anything left over, then you pay taxes. So that's the for-profit difference. So it has been very difficult to have that happen, to have there be leftover to say this is for-profit, because then you take the profits and you reinvest them and you put them back into the business to have the business grow. So we have been treating the entity or the people who come as if, oh no, if we upset you because we had a price increase, you might leave. So what in turn happens sometimes is the price gets changed. Oh, we'll change it down for you, or we'll just ring it through as a bang trim, or we'll just some fancy way. And it devalues the brand. It takes away from who we are. And that occurs in a few different areas, because it also is like how quickly, and listen, all this is from me. This is no one's fault. This is nobody doing anything wrong. This is, everybody's just been doing the way we've set it up. And, over time, there was this huge campaign to, give them whatever they want, make them happy. Always, it's like, hey, just, they don't like it, give it to them. They don't like it, give it to them. And what that's done is it's actually diminished the work of the stylist. It's taken away from what they do. It has devalued their work. And I know it's great work, because they wouldn't be on the floor here if it wasn't. I know it is great work. And I've set it up to where just tell them it's on us, it's no charge. Or, if it's the whole act of kindness thing we did, which fit the era, it fit the time period. No, we're moving on. Now let's to the next place. So because I know we're recording this, I want to say a couple things so that everybody knows. So wave to everybody over there. Say hello. He's saying that one. You turn around and you wave. Or you say hi to that one too. Say, hey, everybody. So that everybody understands the context of this. This is the purpose of this, the point of this is we're going into our 40th year, is to create a great foundation for the next 40, for the platform for the next years of the future. So it's to have us be a solid business and be proud of it. Because one thing for sure is Dad was always so proud of the brand and of his work. There was no apologies. He was not apologizing for who he was and the work that he did. He was very, very proud of everybody's work in there. So there was no I'm sorry for it. And that doesn't mean there's not empathy and compassion and love, and it doesn't mean we take any of that away. It's just, that's not a on-the-house gift. That's not an act of kindness. That's a mistake. So, sorry, we made a mistake. We'll just put it in the computer where you collect for it next time. So, those little tens and all those little numbers, as I'm noticing them, that stuff is really adding up, and it's having a huge impact. And one of the big things is when you have 40 different stylists who have different interpretations of how to charge, and they actually, the way we operate sometimes is as if we're a commission salon. And in a commission salon, they can make up their own prices on the fly because it affects their paycheck. And here, it doesn't affect anything except for the payroll that I just had to run today. So, because the money's still going out, it doesn't affect the money coming in. It affects the money coming in, but the money going out doesn't change. In a commission salon, the money coming in lowers, but so does the money going out. It's directly related. But that's not that's not our business model. It's just not how we operate. So if you have 40 people who say, oh, well, say they're feeling insecure for the day. And I heard this from somebody. She just didn't feel good about her work that day. So she was taking, the service might have been a full head of foils and saying, well, just charge her for a half head. Now, I spent an hour on her, or an hour and a half, but just charge her for a half head. Customer doesn't even know that she got that. She has no clue. She thinks she just got a full head of foils and the price is whatever a half head is. And that was just based on somebody's feelings for that day. They just didn't feel good about their work that day. So they negotiated a different rate and didn't tell anybody, and now it shows up. Then the woman comes back and goes to somebody else next time, and they get charged for a full head. And she said, what are you doing? My stylist only charged me this much. She doesn't know that we gave her $50 worth of stuff. So when you have 40 people doing that over time, that number adds up quickly, very, very quickly. So that has to alter, because what we have to offer people is time. It's not, we get into this negotiation with people about product. Oh, I only have this much hair. You didn't use that much color on me. Or I brought my own color. That's not what costs money in doing a hair color. I mean, that's a very fractional cost. But you have a stylist who's doing your hair, has been here 35 years, and you're paying for their time. And some of our senior stylists who've been around for a while have a limited amount of space to book. So when we flippantly, do services that are, not for the right amount of time, the time has changed. That's what we're selling. We have time. So the conversion, and we'll talk further about this, but what this is going to be about is using time as the measure when we go over the allotted time, rather than the opinion of what they think the work is worth. And right now we put people in a bad position because it's awkward for them. I mean, most of the stylists don't like that whole part of the equation, and they'd rather just, it gets uncomfortable for them to rather just not have to mess with it. And literally what this is doing is taking that out of their hands anyway. So that this is the services that I did. I did a halo and I did a haircut, and not any other interpretation of what it is. We have dimensionals that a lot of stuff gets thrown into dimensional color. And now it'll be real simple, because it'll be a formula. If it's 45 minutes, it's this price. And every 15 minutes over that, you tack on this much dollar amount. Now your role in this isn't to go roll this out to everybody tomorrow. You don't need to be the police of this. This is the first iteration or conversation of it. The difference for you as we go forward is that you need to make sure it just gets put in the computer properly. So all these bang trims that get done that are haircuts, or no blow dry at all, and they leave with their hair dry, they left with you see their hair is dry, and you know what happened. Just making sure that it gets put in properly. Now, the other side, well, she didn't pay for it, right, so how are we going to categorize that? So that will go in as a category too, but the guest has to know you got this. So, here for 2 hours for a dimensional, or whatever it was, and charges the dimensional price. So there's questions about that. Like, if you took 2 hours, then it's really not, it's dimensional and something else. What else were you doing? So that's all, just what is actually happening to charge the right. Does it make sense? So, and it's going to take the guesswork out of it. It's going to take the, how much should it be? Who knows? Like, nobody knows. There's no real answer. It's just based on a feeling. If she's a nice lady, it's one way. If she's a mean lady, it's another way. If the emotions are good, it's all over the place. There's just no set way. Or if it's a confident person who believes in their work, this price. But it's somebody who does great work and doesn't always feel that in themselves, they don't have that level of self-esteem, then you can see it in the average ticket. So it's taking that out of the equation so that we can just they could just focus on hair. It wasn't until a recent discovery that I realized that nobody ever who's a working person in the summer could ever get a foil done after 5 o'clock in our company. They could if they called and negotiated with the right desk coordinator, but on a work day, there was like no 5:30. Like, the girls who work at Arthrex, the admin girls who work at Arthrex, get off at 5. They could not be here till 5:45-ish. You can't go online and ever book. You couldn't until recently ever book an appointment for a foil or a color or whatever. Now that's a demographic, that age group, that is using online. But you could never look us up and say, oh, I could get one of those. Unless you got the right person on the phone and you negotiated with them and you got them to say, yeah, will you stay late, and I'll call you back and give you a message and all the rest of that too. So those are missing pieces. Like, how are we ever going to get busy in the summer? We wonder why it drops off so much. There's still 300,000 people left. Arthrex doesn't close in the summer. Where are they all going? You know, they're going somewhere. So for us, you know, all these little gaps, all these little places where we have to tighten things up and operate more like so in your role being managing the business. So you're managing the business in all ways. You're managing the cash flow in the business. You're managing what gets added on to the business. And by managing, that doesn't mean telling somebody what to do. You're serving everybody, just like I am. I'm serving you. You know, we're serving those people to have them be successful. You know, if they're not doing it a particular way, that doesn't mean you have to, you know, fix them or get them to turn it around. We'll deal with whatever needs to be dealt with around people's, because people have all little tricks and things that we're starting to find out. And it's not because anybody's bad or wrong or doing anything incorrectly. That's just the way they've learned. You know, we had a couple people leave in the last couple years, and all of a sudden we have all these people coming in here saying, well, I never paid that, I never paid that, I never paid that. And there were these other prices made up out of nowhere that just, you know, and then, you know, then it puts us in a really bad position. Or they change, or they go from one salon to the next, or within our own company. And there's a vast difference. I'm not talking level prices, there's just a difference another way. So, you know, around new clients, okay, this is one area that I want to touch on too. So when a new client comes in, and this has gotten lost and this has been on me, so for a lot of people who have never been to us before, it's a really big, for any hair change, it's a big deal. Moving here, whatever it is, you know, that's just a big deal. That's more important than anything else. So you saying to somebody, my name is Marina, I've been here, what, 18, 19, 20, where are you at now? 18 years? 18 years alone is gonna let them know you got their back. And even if you're here 6 months or 4 months, they still know where you are. You're one of them. You're together with them. Or 2 years or 5 minutes. Or my aunt worked here years ago and now I'm here. Or I have good friends of the family that worked here. My mom worked here. Or I've been here and I worked over at the villa and they keep shipping me over there, but I worked down there and I worked everywhere. I do everything for them. And you know, and I do all this for my daughter. I have children, and you know, this is my daughter in a box. This is a picture of her and my family, and I had a baby here, and I had, you know, like whatever your thing is, people hearing that stuff warms them up to you in that moment. So when you say 18 years or 1 or even 2, it's just weird in this business. Or answering the phone and saying, yeah, I was the stylist, I was that one.
I feel that all the time on the phone. I feel that they get so much more comfortable when they hear my baby in the background and then it becomes a story. And
That's real. Right, you're not in some corporate office. There is no corporate office. Creating that level of relatedness with people, that relationship with people so that they're connected to the brand. And then you bring them over here and you say, this is our exclusive product line. By the way, this is your first visit. You get 25% off of everything here today that has our name on it. And I know your stylist is going to talk to you about that, what you need, but just keep that in mind. You might want to take a look and see what you're interested in and ask your stylist about just to make sure, but that's something that you should know today. And oh yeah, all those products, guaranteed for life. You can use the whole thing, and if you decide you don't love it after that, bring it back. And tell them your story about why you're here. You know, like the story you told me. You know, how, whatever it is for you, like how it impacted your life or whatever keeps you around. So that's personal. That adds something to it instead of the clipboard here. Then when you ask them for something, there's a relationship there. You won't get no's all the time. You won't get, she didn't want to fill it out, she didn't want to do it. Don't even go there yet. Because then after the relationship is created, then you go, hey, oh, by the way, the owner wants you to put your email here. He's going to send you an email in 2 hours when you leave here. He wants to make sure you loved it. We all want to make sure you loved your experience. I'm here for you, and he's going to ask you about your visit. So, you know, will you put that in there? We won't send you any junk, whatever. That's a little bit different delivery than, you know, clipboard buy. So that creating that part of it, that's the value part. Like that's the first thing I hear when I walk in. Like I know that I have 3 sets of air conditioners. I know it was hot. It was 92 today. I know they probably weren't working real well. there's other things, like what worked about today? When was the last class you went to or taught? You know, instead of people pointing a finger at, oh, they need to fix, oh, there's dust on the ceiling, they need to fix that. We call Rob and have him fix that. Resting on laurels. Like, hey man, been there, done that. That's where to look. You know, all together as an organization. I mean, I'm covering a lot of ground, but really, you know, people are bitching about price. They're not getting something. Something's missing in the equation. They're not getting that ton of value. They're not getting a ton of love. They're not getting what's the latest. Listen, if they walk in the door and you're like, oh my gosh, I just did this new thing at Well and I'm messing with this color wheel and Brenda's all fired up about it and let's try this thing out. They don't have a chance to do anything else but say, whoa, what just happened? So up in the game that way, instead of, you know, let's try to make them happy, we'll give them this. And that's great, let them buy it. The more they invest in here, the more they spend, the more likely they are to come back. And your role is not just a money collector. You know, that's a part of it, but you go, oh, well, they didn't, we had $1 retail per guest today? Well, they didn't do their job. I asked everybody, I said, do you need any products? Now, your word doesn't mean as much. The truth be told, when they check out, your word doesn't have as much impact as theirs does. So impacting that, the way to impact that is like, listen, if I'm looking at you to see where you are in the game of building the business and having the 6 steps be successful, because I know if the 6 steps are successful, we'll be successful because we keep people that come. When we do all 6 steps and when they use that at home, when they smell that spa shampoo in their shower and they're thinking of us for the whole 6 weeks, and they have that appointment within 6 weeks and not 9 weeks where 50% of the people 2 weeks ago have to call. That's going to be 300 phone calls you were all going to get in 8 weeks. That's going to suck for you. So having that appointment in the future and having having that down instead of it being them, like, hey, listen, you know, I know you had a lot going on here, but this lady's she's been coming for 15 years. She's never bought a product here ever. Could you have a conversation with her about some of the new products that we've had? Could you help me out? You know, so in supporting me, so I don't look like a doofus when I ask them up front and they look at me like I have 6 heads. Like, what do you mean products? Like it's completely foreign to them. So that's where you can pick up and, you know, how can I support them? Because I'm looking at you to say, well, how are you helping build the business? Step, every moment that you spend with a new client that now is in love with you because you know, gave them more than the clipboard throw. And they know your name. And they get the email and they actually respond to it. By the way, there's going to be a survey in there. You should fill that out, please. You know, we could use your feedback online either way. It really helps us. It helps our business. I want to hear what's in there right now, what's going on inside your minds at the moment.
So our empathy with our clients is not equal to an apology. So if they feel like we're doing something wrong, then we are doing something wrong, but it's not in the way that they're perceiving it.
Okay. All right, give me an example of that. So
you know, if someone feels like the price is too high and they're at the desk and they're causing a fuss with you, you went wrong the moment they walked in the door, rather than when they're trying to leave.
You say that again? What was the last part?
If they're complaining to you about the cost or the price,
right,
then you went wrong the moment.
Okay,
they walked in
good.
the door.
All right, that's very powerful. That's a really powerful place to look at that. Like, and then maybe I have some responsibility in that like, because a lot of times what often happens is people will call me up and they'll say, yeah, Mrs. So-and-so doesn't think it's worth it. She was in the bathroom and that baseboard in the bathroom's so messed up. And then all of a sudden it becomes like a thing. Like, oh, let's fix that for Mrs. So-and-so. And then, or, you know, she wants an extra head massage and we'll put that on her. She thinks she should only pay $55 and not $65. When the real issue is not that. Like, so we missed something somewhere else in the whole thing. That's a really good point. Like, it's a great way to look at it, and not like fault or blame, but just like, what piece can I add to this to give more value there so that they're getting that? Because in reality, our prices are no more than most of the flea markets for hair places. They're really not. And you know what I mean by the flea market? The booths, those places.
I was like, do people really go to the flea market? They're like Salon there. And that's where
where I went with that.
The booths,
suite.
the suites. Yeah, suite is a fancy way to say it. Yeah, you get a suite, like it's a suite. There's my plant, there's my bowl. Let's sit here, you sit there, I'll sit here, and we'll play on our phones while your hair processes, okay? Something goes wrong, it's on you. If I'm in Disney World, it's too bad. So you go to somebody else. So,
I think, Rob, we live in a society where we've all become, no matter what, to apologize. Rachel Hollis, her new book is Stop Apologizing. And it is, we're always like, oh, I'm so sorry, but. We always started off that way, no matter what it is. And we have to stop that, because why are you apologizing?
yeah,
What are you apologizing for? You're not really apologizing. You're just trying to make them feel better. So you're starting off that conversation by saying, what we've been doing is, I'm so sorry, but our prices went up. Why? Why are we doing that? Because at Publix, when your milk is $5 and it used to be $2.50, the cashier is not going to say, oh, I'm so sorry. Are you sure you want to get the milk free? But it is that power of connection.
yeah.
It really is. It doesn't matter, how they got there. It's from that moment.
And that's what they fall in love with. That's what people can't understand what they love about their relationship here. There's something that's in the space about that level of love, that for people get that and they feel the genuine care and concern for another human being around the room. Not just the one who's doing your hair because you're paying them, but there's, from the moment they call you and they land there and then they come over to the stylist and then they get their hair shampoo, the whole way around there's genuine empathy for where they're at. But when that relationship starts off like that, there's anything in the world we can do. You know that woman who wrote me the long letter last month, handbook, and they said this happens this day, orientation is this day, this is from this time. I said, Dallas, by now that's just not how it's just not how we roll. We don't even do interviews anymore because they're bullshit. I think that's the biggest phony crap of anything in the world, interviews. Like, you're bullshitting me, I'm gonna bullshit you for 45 minutes, and then we see each other 3 days later and you're working, I'm like, whoa, that's not the same person I saw in the 45 minutes of the interview. Who the fuck are you? I never met you before. We don't do those because that's stupid. It's like, and I was telling her the same, we don't have, like, well, I was supposed to meet Maria, and there were a lot of breakdowns along the way, but that's part of it. I was like, hey, that's how it happens. That's how salon life is, by the way. You walk in, you think it's gonna go one way, and it ain't that way at all. 2 guests show up at the same time. One of them's pissed off. You're out of color. You don't have any. Do you know how to mix color? Did you go to that class? Well, you don't have that color. You can mix this. Shit happens all day long. So that's part of our training and development, and sharing that with her. Like, hey, this is how it goes. Whether you're a desk or whatever role you are, for everyone, there's no straight line for any of it. And then he's going to change that. So don't get too used to that, because he's going to change it. Watch the video. He just changed it again. And being able to adapt to that. All right. Who else? What's else going on? Yeah.
I'm new to this game, I guess I could say, but I've been in businesses before. And what I'm hearing and what you're saying is that maybe there's a disconnect or you have to disconnect between people's financial situations and feeling sorry that they can't pay for it. Because you're disvalued as a stylist, and then it's on the front desk staff. You're the first person they see, and you're the last person they see when they leave. They're not going to complain to Lisa that their haircut's too expensive. They're going to complain to you.
Right.
And it goes back to not saying sorry. It's saying, well, you know what? That's the price of Lisa's haircuts. If you do not like that, we can get you with a junior stylist, or we can put you with someone else. And even if they can go to Supercuts, well, you know what's going to happen? They're coming back.
They're not going to get
They're
Lisa's
not going to like
haircut.
it.
Yeah.
And they're going to end up paying that money.
Yeah.
So we have to disconnect. Oh, I'm so sorry you can't afford this.
Right.
No, this is our price. If you cannot afford it.
Yeah. I love that you said that, because there is a certain prestige around coming here. There definitely is. It doesn't mean a snooty prestige, but saying you have your hair done at Robert of Philadelphia means something to people. In this community, there's a reputation for that, and that means something. If you look around town, you see how many Louis Vuitton bags there are, right? Those women love to make you see, for you to know that they have a Louis Vuitton bag, and it's real. It's not the one that Dawn brought back from New York. It's the real deal. They love to show that. And there's no difference, right? That's a big deal. That's an important piece. That's a part of you. That matters. No different than a black bag, a Robert of Philadelphia bag leaving here, or a haircut, or a color at Robert of Philadelphia. So we're not. The truth is we're not for everyone, and that's okay. That's okay. We're not for everyone.
And you could filter out those people because there's going to be new people coming in as old people are leaving. Or people who cannot afford, people can afford. And, I don't want to see people go, or I don't want to see people in a financial situation they can't afford.
And something after, like what BB said, like 80% of people, like when they're scared to charge what they're going to charge, and then 80% of people don't say anything. Like, the stylists like build up all this fear in their head about charging that. They're coming here for a reason. They know it's going to cost. 80% of people don't say anything. Like, because I believe in you, and watching the stylists grow and become who they are. And then when the stylists see that they pay it, then that grows your confidence. Then you're like, oh, maybe I can charge $80.
Yeah, like there's a self-esteem factor around that. Like there is a worth and a value and an appreciation for what it is that we're delivering to people. So I don't mean, because most of the stylists aren't here, so I don't mean to single stylists out to say, hey, we're talking about you. We're just saying you're awesome and you're worth it every day, every moment. And we're just going to back you up that way to say we're not apologizing for that. We'll make it great. We're going to do whatever it takes. Then it's not, well, how many foils did you put in? Or how much color? You only use 3 ounces of color. My hair's so short. It's only this much color. It's not the color. I would never go to a restaurant and say, can you just cook me a half a steak? What's the price for a half a steak? Just give me half of it. It's still 30 minutes on the book. You are the whole name. So you are what we represent, not any one person. So when we put it all together, that's what Robert of Philadelphia is. Not those pretty shelves, even though I freaking love those. That's not what it is.
So good in the back.
It's not the lights. It's not the scissors. It's the people. It's the connections that we create with people, and that's what's in the world. Because people are left with this feeling, this emotion. It's not anything. It's not any words. It's like the feeling that they get when they walk out of here. Like I get so many people that say, compliment you, that compliment you on a regular basis. You don't hear it, but they're talking about, on a day where I really might have thought you were off because you were dealing with some drama in the salon, which occurs. You got to do it. It's there. It's on your plate. Handle it. And yet the person was like, they were so nice. They took such good care of me. Where do you find these people? They're so kind. And to hear those words and know what was going on in the background, because I knew what you were dealing with, somebody in your family that is sick, or somebody in the salon was, accusing you of something or whatever it was, and you messed up somebody's book, and, you didn't give this, and, finger pointing, and yet the other person was there going, wow, she's amazing. So you do that on a regular, that's just, you juggle it all, all the time. You deal with it in all ways. So being proud of that. So thank you for that. And thank you for being the first to kind of hear this conversation. That puts you in a very special group to be the first on this kind of next wave.
Thank you for doing this, because I think this is exactly what we've needed too.
Yeah. All right. Thank you everybody for being here. Thank your families for me. Thank whoever it is that supported you in being here.
Thank you.
I love you. Thank you.